Welcome to Islamic Life Coach School Podcast. Apply tools that you learn in this podcast and your life will be unrecognizably successful. Now your host, Dr. Kamal Akhtar.
Hello everyone. Peace and blessings be upon all of you. Today I return to you with part 2 of the concept about Qadr Reveal. Every environment is constantly shaping the range of thoughts available to you. If you're surrounded by fear and limitation, exhaustion and cynicism, your perceptual field of possibilities will narrow. Your mind will recycle smaller and smaller versions of reality. But when you expose yourself to expansion and regulation, you become up-leveled in your own healing and refinement. You engage in higher level of conversations. You get coaching. You travel. You reflect. You perform spiritually grounded worship. With that, your awareness will begin to encounter thoughts that your old identity could not access. You yourself do not know which future Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed to become possible for you. At least not yet. And instead of seeing that uncertainty as terrifying, I want you to understand it as the greatest opportunity of your life. Because hidden inside this unknown is the fact that your current reality is not the only available reality. There are futures that you have not accessed yet. There are versions of you available that you haven't currently aligned yourself with yet. Most Muslim women think that Qadr is something that happens to them while they stand there passively waiting to see what unfolds. But your active participation in Qadr is not only possible, it is highly recommended. What is possible for you in the future is contingent on what you start to believe now, and you have no limitation on what you can believe. So an example I had given is that future Qadr is an ocean of possibilities that exist, and you have a choice of picking one drop of that ocean, which is a thought that when expanded on, creates an outcome in your life. And when you pick that thought with awareness, with intention, you can create a future outcome for yourself. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to create any future Qadr possible for you. But you need to rely on your mind as a vehicle, as a wasila for what you can make reality in the future. Allah creates out of nothing. You have your intelligence, your awareness to create from. That is the wasila you need to rely on to create the future. What is happening is that you're already constantly reaching into that ocean and selecting a thought. That thought becomes an emotion becomes a behavior, and behavior becomes the outcome. That is what creates the result. You're currently living the cumulative effect of all of those results in your life. Now, wouldn't it be great if you practiced some choice, some agency about what thought you select? Since, it's going to shape your future and all, so might as well do it with awareness. And the way I like to simplify it is that your life is not a sequence of events happening to you. It is a sequence of chosen perceptions. This is why some people can access a broader range of possibilities than others. Your nervous system regulation affects your perception, and your openness to being flexible with that perception is where the possibility of change occurs. Your Qadr contains reality that you have not yet perceived, and how you discern between those realities is the difference between expansion and restriction. If as a Muslim woman you're living your life subconsciously believing that wealth belongs to other people, that are men, that are entrepreneurs, that have privilege, that understand money, so when you hear someone explaining halal investing in a simple way, you're not even going to be open to understand it. Except if you allowed yourself the possibility to think differently, to open to a new future. And that is that maybe wealth is also spiritually available to you. In which case, you will allow yourself the chance to understand how halal investments work, what entrepreneurship is actually like. Even if you don't understand these things, you're going to allow yourself to make mistakes and continue to learn, which will completely change the trajectory of your life. Initially, when you allowed yourself that belief, that moment is not going to be about wealth in that moment. You haven't made any money yet, but that moment is about access. If you stay with the thought long enough, instead of dismissing it, that yes, money is available for me also, your confidence and your behavior around money is going to change. And this is why Qadr Reveal thoughts matter so much. Because your entire future can begin with a single thought that you almost ignored. Transformation does not happen when circumstances change. It happens much earlier than that. It happens in a moment when a new possibility becomes cognitively available to you. This is why protecting your awareness is extremely important. All of your thoughts are not sitting in your skull passively. They compete with your reality constantly. So if you are working to believe a new thought, it can feel uncomfortable because it will threaten your stability of who you currently are. The Qadr Reveal says, you do not have to stay loyal to your current identity, and your nervous system will experience that as danger before experiencing it as freedom. You might resort to thoughts like, this is unrealistic, this is not for someone like me, I could never. People like me don't do that. It's too late. It's selfish. It's impossible. In which case, your Qadr Reveal thought arrived, meaning you had access to creating a different future for yourself, but it was not held long enough for it to grow. Qadr Reveal is a seed. It is not an oak tree in the beginning. It is not a fully formed blueprint. You have to allow it to exist in your mind without any unnecessary meddling for it to take shape. You have to allow it to exist in your mind and not necessarily have to take immediate action on it. It will grow if allowed to exist in your awareness and consciousness alone. And this is important because you will stop obsessing over forcing your answers. You're going to start prioritizing openness, and you're not going to be attached to certainty that much. You're going to become someone who notices what is a thought that keeps repeating itself in my mind. You're going to be okay with sitting with questions like, what possibilities have I not allowed myself to consider? And you're going to be open to allow yourself to ask, what Qadr Reveals have I already received that I've dismissed because they deconstruct my current reality? Ultimately, your life is a cumulative result of which thoughts you repeatedly channel into action. And somewhere inside that infinite range of thoughts that are available to you, you have thoughts that you haven't accessed yet. A Qadr Reveal is a cognitive event where your previously unavailable future becomes mentally available. Again, it does not have to be immediately acted upon, although it can be, but your immediate action is not a requirement for it to qualify as a Qadr Reveal. And your access to these thoughts is not passive either. Your access into this awareness is not neutral. Your consciousness set point determines what you can perceive as a possibility. And this moment of this lifting of the veil will not occur if you're constantly in a low consciousness set point. And this is why we work to raise your soulful intelligence. And in my coaching program, we do it by raising the quotient of your soulful intelligence, or SQ, which is a measure of your consciousness set point. Because not every Qadr Reveal will give you an even keel experience. Some will feel like curiosity, some will feel like downright discomfort, and others might feel like a pull in your nervous system that might create confusion. All of this does not mean that you have to reject what you're coming across. If your consciousness set point is low, you're operating mostly from primal and fear-based thoughts, a high-level Qadr possibility will not feel inspiring. It will feel unrealistic, even threatening. Or you might even feel irresponsible for having those thoughts. The mind will immediately collapse back into fear and take you back to your old familiar reality. At low consciousness set point, your system cannot metabolize what is being shown. So a very transformative Qadr Reveal thought will show up, but it will not land because it has no platform there for it to land. The thought in itself is not transformative. It is your ability to stay with it is what is transformative. Your ability to mold it and monitor it, and your ability to allow it to evolve. Qadr Reveal is not passive. It requires your active participation, and that participation starts with healing your nervous system. Because Muslims misunderstand Qadr as something fixed that's happening to them, and that they are at the mercy of the Qadr, this is rather tragic, because embedded in this belief is a sense of helplessness and loss of control. And if you experience that as a human, you will try to control everyone around you to gain that sense of control back. When your leadership in your life is not to control other people, it's to control what belief you're going to choose from the ocean of possibilities of belief. That's where your choice lies. If you have a very constricted view of your Qadr, you're going to lose your access to that choice. For you to create the best possible Qadr outcome as it relates to your future, you need to have the highest level of alignment for you to even access it. That is where your control lies. Your Qadr Reveal is the invitation. Your internal state is what determines if you will accept that invite or not. It's like you're getting an invite to a very exclusive black tie event that you were looking forward to attend, and you don't even have a dress to wear. What I'm saying is have a dress ready, so when that invite comes, you can accept it. What you usually call thinking is not thinking at all. It's nervous system recycling known options. And if you stay there, your future Qadr will not expand no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how motivated or hardworking you are. Your effort can only take you that far. After that, if any obstacle comes, you will not be able to overcome it. The Qadr Reveal and your acceptance to this invite is the interruption of that obstacle, is your interruption of the limitations in your life. So if you're a woman whose entire identity is built around self-sacrifice for nurturing others, you may receive a Qadr Reveal about rest, pleasure, leadership, visibility, wealth, boundaries, and you may feel immediate guilt around all of this because this is highly unfamiliar to you, instead of feeling openness. A man whose identity is built around control may receive a Qadr Reveal about being vulnerable and experience it as weakness instead of freedom and completely reject it. At lower consciousness set point, all of high-level ideas enter, but they get dismissed almost immediately because they sound unrealistic or impossible. The mind will reject that possibility in order to preserve your stability. The idea can come, but it will leave just as fast. But what happens at a higher consciousness set point? The same idea is held and it is explored, it is recognized and it is allowed to grow. And the difference between the two is not your level of intelligence, it is your level of capacity. Which means that this whole practice of Qadr Reveal is not a practice to come up with better and more ideas, although that might be a part of it. The practice, though, is about becoming someone who can stay with what comes through without immediately shutting it down. Your Qadr Reveal is a moment where something within your written reality becomes visible to you. When you yourself don't do growth or healing work, you're actively choosing to remain within a narrower bandwidth of what is possibly available to you. So the question you have to ask is, what already exists for me that I have not allowed myself to see yet? This shifts the limitation of your current field of awareness. It expands the range of thoughts your system currently recognizes as valid. And the idea could be novel, or the idea could be old and stale. But if you see that idea through a different lens, something that serves your future reality, then you will be more open to adopt it. All of the solutions to the problems in your life are already written within the infinite range of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made possible. Sometimes it does look like novelty, where a thought appears that feels completely new, something that you've never considered, and it carries a certain magnetic energy to it. While other times, it almost feels frustratingly simple, like you've heard it before, and maybe even said it before. But despite of the thought being old, it has not affected you like this before. And you start to view it in a different lens. And in the moments, if your mind feels busy and noisy, where one idea is coming after another, where you might not see all of them as useful or profound, and your instinct to shut all of them down will be strong, I want you to stay with the ideas. I want you to consider the possibilities. Because sometimes that's what happens when you've opened the channel of possibilities, that ideas flow through rapidly. And when that flow is happening, your job is not to judge each one in real time, but let the stream of that consciousness run long enough for something deeper to surface. Because if you interrupt it very early, you will collapse the process back into the usual thinking patterns. So allow your aha moment the space that they deserve. Also, if you believe that a solution must make sense immediately, you will have a tendency to reject ideas that feel slightly off to you. So allow all of the possibilities without interfering with the stream of consciousness. The way for you to get access to the future possibilities of Qadr Reveals is by building the skill of not dismissing the simple just because it's too obvious, by not rejecting the unfamiliar just because it feels too big, by not cutting off the stream of thoughts because it feels too unstructured. You don't doubt the sudden clarity because it came too easily. When you consider all of these practices, this is going to feed into building your skill of opening yourself up to the Qadr possibilities. Let's take an example of vacations. If you're sitting there thinking about them the way you always have, maybe something practical, something familiar, something that fits within the budget you have, and then a thought about the solution comes in a way that feels slightly out of place, something like, I could take my family somewhere that completely changes how we see the world. And immediately your mind tries to shrink it. It starts to calculate the costs and logistics and school schedules. It starts to force you to answer the logistical questions. Then you might never discover what the original thought actually meant. Maybe that vacation looks like you packing up the stuff and going to the beach. This is how you were supposed to see the world differently with your family. And maybe you've always had the budget to it. Or maybe the thought means that you're going to fly across the world in first class, and that's how you're going to experience the world differently. Or maybe the possibilities are somewhere in between. Do not fall into the how immediately. You don't have to answer how you're going to accomplish the result of what the Qadr Reveal thought reveals to you. But instead, stay with it long enough to let the answers come to you. Because if you slow down, maybe you will realize that the thought did not come from your usual patterning. And your pattern was that travel has to be an escape from life. But instead, this thought is inviting you to a new pattern, the part where you can go on a vacation for the purposes of education or the purposes of rejuvenation. So in this case scenario, a Qadr Reveal would look like asking yourself open-ended questions. Questions like, what if my brain immediately calculating all the logistics is not wisdom? What if it's fear and protective mentality? What if the problem is not money, and it is my inability to tolerate different experiences? What if my children seeing the world is a part of their risk? What if my system is confusing expansion with irresponsibility? What if I'm allowed to create memories that feel cinematic? What if I've spent my years only choosing experiences that my current identity is familiar with? What will happen if I attempt to grow out of that? What if there are conversations that still need to happen? Opportunities that still need to reveal themselves? What if there are perspectives out there that I haven't yet taken? And the important part about this Qadr Reveal as it relates to you planning your vacation, it has nothing to do with the fact that the vacation will happen or it was meant to happen. That's not the point. The point is that before this moment, before you ask these questions, these realities were not available to you. And now they're becoming more and more visible. And the more you stay with these realities, the more it becomes possible that your vacation will take a shape that you weren't familiar with. So what I want you guys to do with this and the previous episode is to collect these ideas and implement them in a way where you stay open long enough for a future possibility to reveal itself. Stick with the solution to one problem at a time. And once you develop this skill, then you can apply it to other areas. Because that way, your brain would have developed a pattern of thinking that is solution-focused, not blaming your qadr instead. With that, I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, protect me and all of us from shrinking into fear when my soul is being invited into expansion. Allow my heart to stay open long enough for the correct thoughts to grow into healing. Ya Allah, allow me to nurture the components in my life that create the highest version of me, a version that you have created me to be capable of becoming. Ameen Ya Rabbul Alameen. Please keep me in your du'as. I will talk to you guys next time. I am truly honored that you are here in my circle. And if you or someone you know is raising a child on the autism spectrum, I want to personally invite you to join my program, the Ummi Collective. This is a weekly coaching program for Muslim mothers where I help you build the skills to raise independent and successful neurodivergent children, while also supporting you as a woman in the process. If you're struggling right now, but deep down you know that your child has incredible potential, and you want to support that potential the best way possible, this program is exactly for you. Use the link in the show notes to apply for the program at a discounted price. I would be honored to welcome you inside the Ummi Collective.